In 81 more days, USC kicks off their season against Missouri State. By the end of the week, June 15th, Father's Day, Talanoa Ili will make a decision on the rest of his football life.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thanks for making Locked On USC. You know, it's part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you are watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, it's always going to be free. I'm always going to appreciate your support, so make sure you're tuning in. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. USC has done everything possible. I can't think of anything else they could do to make Talanoa Ili, the linebacker, formerly from Orange Lutheran High School, now over there at Kahuku in Hawaii. They could not have done anything more to let him know, as well as his family, that he is USC's top priority in the 2026 recruiting cycle. I mean, look, there's no way that Lincoln Riley, his coaching staff, there's no way they're going to miss out on the top linebacker in the West. Not 3 years in a row. Can't happen, right? You had Kingston Viliamu-Asa back in 2024. Last year's recruiting cycle, Madden Faramo. Can't happen 3 times in a row. Can't. Xavier Griffin, the linebacker edge player from Georgia. Well, he couldn't hold the line. He chose to take his official visits after he committed. The other, you've really only had 2 decommits, him, and then you had the wide receiver Cohen Brown from the state of Texas. He's actually going to stay home. He's going to go to Texas. USC's offer apparently opened up the floodgates for him, and he got the one he wanted the most, so he's staying home. All that's kind of a little bit of fluff right now. I just want to get back to USC as they've made Talanoa, as well as his family, know, hey, we want this young man. There's not another player we want more than this young man. So on June 15th, Father's Day, Talanoa is going to choose between USC and UCLA. He's narrowed it down. He's canceled his official visits to Oklahoma, Texas, Notre Dame, and Brigham Young. Talanoa's dad, Glenn, he posted this on X, aka Twitter. Two traditions, one city. Is it going to be 4s up or fight on? The resurgence, defense wins championships. Let's go. So, I'm 95.6% positive that Talanoa is going to pick USC on Father's Day. However, in case anybody wasn't aware of this, did a little bit of research, looking around. Yeah, the Bruins, UCLA, they've got a couple of aces in the hole, right? If we're playing poker, they got a couple underneath their hand already. They don't need to wait for that down and dirty. If things go their way, they're going to make it a family gathering in Westwood. So Talanoa is the cousin of their UCLA's new quarterback, or I should say quarterbacks. You've got Nico Iamaleava and his brother Madden. They're cousins. He's also cousins with Kahuku teammates and fellow UCLA targets. And I'm going to do my best not to butcher these names. You've got Madden Soliai and Malachi Soliai Tui. Soliai Tui. I apologize if I butchered those names. Those are teammates of his at Kahuku. UCLA is going after both of those guys as well as Talanoa. And I should also add in this little footnote. Talanoa is currently living with Soliai Tui's grandmother. His uncle, Talanoa, his linebacker coach at Kahuku. He was also the linebacker coach at Bosco. I believe he lives in the same house where Talanoa is on the island right now. So you got all that working for UCLA. total family affair. They're hoping that that's going to be their ace in the hole when it comes to Talanoa making his intentions known on Father's Day. The other ace, if that family connection isn't enough to keep USC fans on their toes right now, well, UCLA's defensive coordinator, his name is Iki. Gosh, I apologize. Ikaika Malloy. There we go. I think I got that one right. He is UCLA's defensive coordinator. He is also a linebacker coach. So again, you got more of that Polynesian influence going on. And I know Talanoa and his family are very close with Ikika Malloy. So that's what UCLA has working for them. USC, well, this is all they have to offer. And this is dripping with sarcasm. All USC can show them is, hey, we've got Antonlynn. Remember UCLA's old defensive coordinator? You know who Rob Ryan is? Well, that's who we're going to have you working with for the developmental part of the side of your stay in college. You also get a huge defensive line to play behind when you go to USC. So you got that working for you. And I know everyone's thinking about USC's defensive line in 2025. It's going to be just as good, if not better, in 2026. Look at the recruiting. Look how they're stacking that room. A lot of the guys who are playing this year are, young guys, sophomores, which means they'll be juniors next year when Talanoa will be part of the program, assuming he's a part of the program. Plus, this is where USC is pulling the Polynesian family strings. You've got Tom Tapui. You've got Kinye Pepe. You've got Samote Katana. Not to mention, friend of the show, had him on here, Isun Tafa. So, yeah, UCLA, they're playing the family card, the bloodline card. USC said, hey, you know what? I don't know how many of these guys are real blood cousins. However, they're all tight. They all consider themselves family. Something else to consider. On yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, if you missed it, go back and check it out. In the third segment, I started to break down the revenue sharing and the NIL ruling that the courts handed down recently. That works at USC's advantage. So while USC has been really aggressive with the NIL this cycle, Talanoa is a guy that, if UCLA wanted to throw the kitchen sink at him to keep him away from USC, they could. I mean, will they? Can they? I guess we'll find out in less than a week when Talanoa makes his decision on Father's Day. But if USC is in that same advantageous position versus everyone else in the country when it comes to revenue sharing and NIL fair market value, that's really the key here. UCLA is in LA too. So let's not be naive to think that USC is the only school with the ability to take advantage, of the current market situation. I'm not trying to make the case for UCLA. I feel very confident that he's going to be a Trojan. But again, I think we would be remiss if we're not, at least considering some of these other factors. He narrowed it down. He's staying in LA. He's going to play for USC or UCLA. I'm just kind of letting you know what UCLA is going to war with, so to speak. Again, I am not predicting Talanoa to UCLA. However, I just want to make sure everyone understands what the situation is. Okay, nothing wrong with that. If he's going to go to school in LA, the question is basically where? Is it going to be USC? Is it going to be in Westwood? Look, I'll be super shocked if he decides he wants to ruin his life. But look, I've seen a lot of stuff happen in my life, and nothing really shocks me anymore. Nothing. I mean, whoever thought you'd see Kyle Ford leave USC, go to UCLA, come back to USC? But that's how things work today. So again, would I be upset? Yes. Would I be shocked? Absolutely not. A couple other quick recruiting notes before we wrap up this segment. Big Sam Utu, remember the offensive lineman from Orange Lutheran? Well, he's going to Alabama. He's made a decision. Quote, football-wise, the offensive scheme fits my style of play. A lot of counter, screens, and inside-outside zone. Coach Grubb is an amazing coach and an even better person. He made me comfortable while learning new techniques as well as terminology. I know what I'm stepping into and how well they'll prepare me for the next phase of my life, my football career, end quote. I say good luck, young man, Sam. Enjoy it. All I'm going to say is taking a visit, an orchestrated official visit to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where they're going to make you feel really good. Like, you know what, you're probably from here. It's a lot different than living down there. A lot different. Not saying he's not going to stick it out. I'm just saying, I've spoken to enough people who are from Southern California, made that transition to Alabama, other places, Georgia, Mississippi. They're like, whoa, it was a different place. Cannot wait to get out of here. And then one other wide receiver prospect, Jalen Lott. We know USC's after him. Well, he's going to take his next 2 official visits. He's going to go to Texas and Oregon. That's going to happen within the next 2 weeks. What I would say, or what I would ask, the rhetorical question, does that add some credibility to the whole Ethan Booby Feaster rumor that, you know what, he's coming to USC? If Booby takes his, more official visits, he's in the same position as Jalen Lott. Neither one of them have committed. They're allowed to. But I'll tell you this, USC isn't waiting around for anyone. First wide receiver that jumps in, that's it. Whether it's going to be Jalen, whether it's going to be Booby, I can say that name forever. We'll find out. But yeah. So there you go. There's your recruiting update. You got Talanoa Ili choosing between USC and UCLA. UCLA is making their case with the whole family strings attachment. USC is playing the whole poly-family attachment, as well as you are the number one priority that we want in this recruiting cycle. And it's not just at that position. It is imperative that USC bring this young man home. Is he more important than Tom or Keenye or Mote? Of course not. But for reasons that I think I've explained, you need to keep the top linebacker in the West home. You can't lose out on him 3 years in a row. All right, 2 more segments to go. And as you can see in the next segment, is everything just going too good for USC right now? Is it too good to be true? Let's talk about that. The NBA playoffs, we're in the finals. The series is all tied up 1-1. I did a little research. I had to find out. So if you're into the whole Indiana versus Oklahoma City finals, go check it out. And if you're into those highlight-worthy performances, you like those momentum shifts, you like those can't miss moments, definitely check out FanDuel. With player props, performance trends, same game parlays, fans, if you join FanDuel, you're going to have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you're following the trends, who's making their shots, who's not, who's hitting their free throws, who's leading rebounder, who's shooting the threes the best. If you're into that, you're following the trends. If you got a read on who's heating up, back it up. Do a same game parlay. I mean, how would $200 in bonus bet sound if your first $5 bet hits? If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect way to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets just like that. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. USC is coming off a mediocre at best 2024 football season. I think I'm being gratuitous when I say mediocre. It was worse than average. Look, despite those bookend wins against LSU and Texas A&M to start and end the season, the Trojans, they struggled. They struggled to a 7-6 record. And that was coming on the heels of an 8-5 season with your Heisman Trophy winner, playing quarterback. So here's what's changed since USC beat Texas A&M. They got one new general manager. His name's Chad Bowden. Made a big difference. He's helped change the way USC recruits. The staff, USC's coaching staff, they've made a concerted effort to fill up the class with as many of the best California recruits as possible. Again, how much of that is Chad Bowden's influence? A little bit. But these are the things that have been happening during the offseason and why things are going so well for USC. In fact, things are going so well with recruiting. They feel confident enough to say, we're not chasing Brandon Arrington anymore. We're done with Devon Benjamin. Not that we don't want them, that we don't like them. However, we're ready to fill up our class, and those guys aren't ready yet. So 2 of the top prospects from the state, USC saying, you know what? We can afford to move on from you. USC has upgraded their coaching staff. So enter stage left. You got Rob Ryan, Trevon Reed, linebacker coach, cornerback coach, respectively. Rob Ryan, he's made for USC. He is going to take that linebacker room that was pretty good last year, even though it was light on numbers. He's just going to take that room to another level of excellence. And he's got more players to work with, too. You've got Eric Gentry coming back healthy, Desmond Stevens, Jaden Walker, Anthony Beavers. So, yeah. You brought in, out of the transfer portal, Tamir Robinson, and I know I'm missing something off the top of my head right now. I apologize. I don't have the roster near me, but the linebacker group is going to be just fine. You got Trevon Reed. He brings his recruiting prowess. I mean, look at the defensive back class. Doug Belk, gets a lot of flowers for that, but Trevon Reed should also get a hat tip for doing his job in the time he's been at USC. So not only does he bring that recruiting prowess, he also brings that Pete Carroll mindset, that philosophy. Remember, Pete Carroll is the reason why Trevon got into coaching. Those were his exact words. So you got that. And of course, don't forget USC's NIL department. It's working at a high level right now. I mean, way up here. So as far as USC's recruiting philosophy, and I think Chad Bowden brought this over, and it's working. It'd be hard for you to make the argument that it's not. But USC's recruiting philosophy is, and it's a change from the norm. There was once upon a time that even if you committed to USC, they say, yeah, go ahead, take your official visits. No big deal. Coach Riley, the program, they did a complete 180. They said, if you commit to us in this cycle, you're done taking trips. Again, so far, 2 guys have tempted fate. Talked about in the first segment. You had Xavier Griffin, Cohen Brown. So is all of this too good to be true? When is something negative? When is something bad going to happen? I'm not asking for it to happen, but usually Trojan fans are kind of, biting their lip, pursing their lips, furrowing their brow, white knuckling. Anyways, so far it's been too good to be true. Nothing really negative's happened. And they're actually about to get stronger. Talked about Talanoa Ili in the first segment. You got revenue sharing, NIL. That's giving USC a significant advantage this offseason, as well as going forward, right? You've got Lincoln Riley. He might have one of the best defenses, not in the conference, maybe in the country this year. Last year, they improved by 10 points per game. They were only giving up 24 points per game. I told you, if we adjust for the pick sixes, USC's defense only gave up 21 points per game. And now they have a deeper room across the board at all different levels. Defensive line, linebacker, as well as the secondary. I think about the only negative so far this offseason has been the inability to get that USC Notre Dame rivalry get that contract extended, get that taken care of. Not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but that's really been the only negative, other than the Xavier Griffin decommitment. But USC can make that up with more recruiting. So again, too good to be true. Find me another negative. I mean, none of these vibes that USC fans are feeling right now, they're not going to disappear or leave anytime soon. Recruiting isn't going to all of a sudden take a poop all over itself. If everybody is waiting and hoping, and I know Oregon fans are like, oh, don't worry, the class is going to fall apart. If you think it's going to happen, don't hold your breath. Keep chopping wood. It ain't happening. So recruiting, it's not going to stop. Well, it's going to stop once USC fills up their class, but that's about it. And as far as the upcoming season, the schedule, it's set up for USC to be undefeated when they host Michigan October 11th. Look, they're either going to be 5-0 coming home from Illinois with a bye week to prepare for the Wolverines, or at worst, they're going to be 4-1 coming home with that loss in Champaign, Illinois. I'll say it again. Are things too good to be true? I'm starting to get those 2022 vibes where USC, they just stay healthy and you're going to be fine. They were healthy until they got to Utah. That's when they lost Eric Gentry, as well as the wide receiver, Jordan Addison. And then, obviously, you saw what happened in the conference championship game when Caleb pulled up lane. So, yeah, I think this is setting up to be a really good year for USC. It's starting with recruiting, and we know the roster is better than last year. We know how close they were last year. Are they ready to get over the hump? I think, I'll say it again, are things too good to be true? Should USC fans brace themselves for something to make them go, oh, man, did we really need that to happen? Well, I'm not hoping for it, but look, let's live in the real world, right? Something's going to happen. But until then, let's just enjoy life. Let's enjoy the vibe. Let's enjoy the ride. Because everything that's been going on for USC, again, except for the USC Notre Dame noise, everything else has been A+. All right, one more segment to go. You can see on the rundown there, USC, they're number 5 in the ESPN FPI. I'm going to tell you what that is. Have you ever wondered what goes into ESPN's FPI rankings? Well, here it is. From them, the FPI is a predictive rating system that estimates each FBS team's strength in points per game relative to the national average on offense, defense, and special teams, making adjustments for starters lost, recruiting talent, and other personnel changes. Those numbers are then plugged into the schedule, and everything is simulated 20,000 times to track each team's odds of winning its conference, making the playoff, and advancing through to the national title, end quote. So now that you know what ESPN's FPI is all about, what does it mean? What does that all mean? Well, USC's projected win-loss record in the FPI is 8.3 to 3.9. And the Trojans are also listed with a 93.8% chance to record at least 6 wins. So if you're looking at those numbers, they're saying, according to USC, their FPI, they're going to finish the season 8-4. That's how I read it. Now, ESPN released their FPI for the Big Ten Conference. And they predicted the order of finish in the Big Ten via their FPI metrics ahead of the schedule. So not only that, but they also provided what they consider their chances to win the the conference championship. So they put this little, in the fine print, keep in mind the conference championship chances don't necessarily reflect the entire scope of the ranking for each team. Generally, a higher chance to win the Big Ten means you're at the top, but some teams are out of order from that perspective. So let me go over the top 10. You've got Ohio State, number 1, 40.3%. Their FPI is 23.8. Ohio State is a favorite to win the Big Ten going into 2025. Can they go back-to-back national titles? Question mark. Maybe. Heck, it's fascinating. They won it all last year without winning the Big Ten, but they are the current favorites and have stars Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs ready to run it back in 2025. Didn't talk about their defensive line, didn't talk about their quarterback, but they have them at number 1. Penn State's number 2. They're returning all the talent at all the key positions you want, yet they're behind Ohio State. They're at 25.1%. Their FPI, 21.5. Penn State is a popular Big Ten and national title pick this season. They're using the Ohio State model by running it back with their stars. Drew Allar, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, that's their backfield quarterback and running backs, and more are ready to get a little further than last year's college football playoff. Oregon is number 3, 19.1%. Their FPI, 20.5. Michigan at number 4, 6%, FPI 14.6. Here comes USC at number 5, 4.2%, FPI 13. Lincoln Riley hasn't exactly lost faith, but the bar is a bit lower now. Just a 4.2% chance to win the Big Ten, question mark. Hey, it's good enough for the top 5 in the conference. USC needs a lot of improvement on defense, as usual. Excuse me. But it seems pretty interchangeable between them and Michigan. If you're going to bet on one of those teams, of course. So number 6, Nebraska. Number 7, Washington. 8, Indiana. 9, Wisconsin. Iowa's at 10. Minnesota's 11. Illinois 12. UCLA 13. Rutgers 14. Michigan State 15. Maryland 16. Northwestern at 17. Purdue, boiler up, at 18. So the teams ranked ahead of USC on their schedule. USC plays Oregon in November. That's on the road. They play Michigan in LA. Talked about that a little bit ago. You have to assume USC is going to be 1-1 at worst out of those 2 matchups. They're 0-2. Season's not going to go well. The teams that are ranked lower than USC. USC goes to Nebraska, hosts Iowa, plays at Illinois, hosts UCLA, they host Michigan State, as well as Northwestern, and we know they go to Purdue, 3rd game of the year. If USC has more than 1 loss from that group of teams, don't forget you have the game in South Bend. You can see where everybody's, where their formulations are coming up. All right, I can see where USC's losing 3 games this year, losing 4 games this year. They're talking about Illinois on the road, Oregon obviously on the road, South Bend, Nebraska. Last year, USC was winless on the road, save for those 2 games in Las Vegas and at UCLA. It's not really a road game, but you get my point. USC cannot go winless on the road this year. Like I said, the schedule is set up for them to do better. Do you agree with ESPN's FPI? Should USC be behind? Should they be behind Michigan? I mean, now we dip in terms of percentages to win the Big Ten. Michigan is number 4 in the conference, but only has a 6% chance to win their first title under Sharon Moore. Everything hinders on the offense to get out of the mud and get the passing games, get their passing offense going. The defense has to replace some big-time players such as Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Will Johnson. But there seem to be good vibes in Ann Arbor this year. Okay, I guess it's all about vibes for Michigan. Not the fact that they're starting a quarterback who's never played a down of college ball, assuming Bryce Underwood's going to be their starter. They got to replace those guys on defense that were all NFL first-round draft picks. But yeah, they got the vibes. Not to mention they've got the NCAA sanctions hanging over their head. Sure, the vibes are good. This is why I hate preseason polls. This is why I'm not a fan of ESPN. But whatever. Here's a good whatever. I'll be back with another episode tomorrow. It's what we do around here 5 times a week, even during the off season. So now that you've made Locked On USC your first listen every day, don't forget about the portal with Brian Smith. You can check that out on YouTube. And when you're done with Locked On, get on over there to wearesc.com. A lot of good stuff for you. So till that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.